So it's time to take question and answers from our audience. So our technical person will unmute, keep your questions handy. Before that, it will be better if you can raise your hand in Zoom. Just raise your hand in Zoom so that we will know that you have a question and we can unmute you. Yes, Mr.
Fahim, go ahead and ask your question, please.
It's Mr. Fahim who has a question.
Next, Mr. Amrit.
So here comes. This is for Anand. So the question goes like this: students get distracted too easily with sitting in front of the light screen. So what is the remedy or how they can manage themselves of sitting this long?
I'm so sorry, but there was some disturbance in the mic, so I'm not able to hear the question properly. But of what I understood is that normally what we do is that when we face two classes, for example, class 1 and class 2, or the lecture 1 and lecture 2, or the first period and the second period, we keep a gap of minimum 20 minutes to half an hour between two classes. And the parents have to ensure that, or the children themselves have to ensure that in between that two classes, that 20 minutes, they should be away from the screen, which is very much required. And that is the reason why we have planned our classes where we keep a gap of 15 to 20 minutes in between two classes minimum, so that the child is actually focused very much when the child comes to the next class. And that is very much required, and I request parents as well as students to do that.
Next, Mr. Sunil Kumar.
Hello. Thank you. First of all, I thank Mr. Javed for inviting me to listen to these wonderful presentations. In fact, they were quite insightful. I have two questions actually. The first one thing is Mr. Javed, it will be quite helpful if you could share the slides that Madam Doctor discussed so far. It deserves a second read actually, definitely. So that is one request. Then my second question to Anand sir. Sir, actually, as a child, as an average child, comparing of myself and the younger students now, as a child, as an average student, I always felt we always had a lot of content to study. Be it in our 10th standard or 7th standard, we had a lot of things to study. So now, given the situation, given the challenges we are having now, why shouldn't things why shouldn't at early ages shouldn't understand students' passion? Now we have, I guess, psychometric test, all those things and all. If a parent can understand what their children's passion lies and focusing instead of studying too much content, which may not be useful. So why shouldn't we take this opportunity as a pandemic time to understand children's passion and then focusing on that only one area instead of reading everything? Just to say, for example, in our class 7th or 8th, we studied a lot about vectors, integrations, calculations. There were times literally cried. But thinking now, these are of not of use. As we grow old, it's of no use. Why shouldn't we take this pandemic as an opportunity, understand children's passion through there are various psychometric studies, where the traits of a student can be mapped, and then taking the attributes or taking the traits, why shouldn't we focus a particular, make a dedicated effort so that children will have a less thing to study, and whatever he's studying, it will be effective. He will be going in the right direction.
All right. So I'll take up that question.
Yeah.
You mean to say that why can't we start the psychometric test and all that very early?
Yeah.
By the way, let me say that we don't need a pandemic situation for a parent to study the psychometric test or the child to go through that. That can be done even in a non-pandemic situation also. Just because we are into a pandemic situation doesn't mean that we do that test. Right now, our system, the Indian curriculum or the Indian education system has been designed in such a way till class 10 there are compulsory subjects, the subjects which you need to learn. That is the curriculum design. Maybe when a child reaches 9th standard and 10th standard, the child can go through that test or some of the test which is available there in the market. The child can go through that and then decide on the parameters and then decide how a child need to progress. So maybe in class 11 and 12, the child will have its own area of specialization. But the problem here is there is no foolproof or 100% accurate test which is available in the market. Every test may claim that this is the best test, that is the best test. But based on the test, it's not, not correct for us to judge. We are the best judge for the child. The child is the best judge. Listen to what the child is passionate about. Find what is the child's passion all about, and then allow that child to focus in that direction. Sometimes the child may be passionate about X, but the test result may be Y, because the test result is not foolproof, not 100% perfect. Give the child sufficient time. Why do we want to snatch away the childhood from the child? Let the child prosper as a child. You and I prospered in life. We have reached so far without those tests, and today there is nothing wrong in the way in which we live our life. Let our child also live by that. Why do you want to impose a doctor when the child is in 7th, or impose engineering when the child is in 7th or 8th or 9th? Let the child bloom to the best. Let the child come to 9th standard, 10th standard, if possible, take the test. The test can only be a guiding material. It is not the end source. So please allow the child to bloom, learn everything, explore. By the time the child reaches class 9 or 10, let the child explore what is required and what is best for him, and then decide what is on. So I don't recommend very early, giving the child psychometric test and asking the child to go by the specialization in the early stage of life. That's my take on it.
Agree, sir. Agree with you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Next, please ask your question. Fatima, please go ahead, ask your question. Meanwhile, we will take next questioner. Mr. Amir Bey, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello. Yes. Hi. My question is to Ms. Raja Abdullah. Mr. Anand Nair. Anand Nair had mentioned this in his presentation in terms of the challenges that today the child is facing while getting a remote learning experience. Is one of the things that he highlighted was a social interaction, a lack of social interaction. Now, this, in my opinion, is one of the very serious ones which gets unnoticed, or which is getting unnoticed, at least in the initial phases of the life which our kids are right now in. Social interaction as human being is been created. It's in his nature to get interacted socially, through, and school is one of the child's development basic thing, which is totally missed out in a remote learning environment. Now, with the loss of this social interaction, how serious is this, and how can we cope up or make it up for the loss of the development of the child, which is missing a social interaction environment? So that's my question to Raja Abdullah. Thanks.
Thank you for your question. My suggestion is to try as much as you can to reconnect their interaction with the classmates that your child in. Like you can do like WhatsApp group for the children because they miss each other and they miss the interaction with each other, especially if they are close. So one of the things that you can do is a WhatsApp group for them so they can interact with each other. And the other thing is that you can do a video chat with them and the school can organize that to do like a video chat in a specific time so they all can interact and catch up with each other and help each other because it's like a group therapy that they can do together, that they each one of them suggest for the other what are the activities that he's doing and make him spend the time of lockdown. I think that will be helpful for them to at least at least to decrease the time that they spend away from school or away from their peers or their friends from school. It can't be as before, but at least to try to compensate a little bit by expose them by the social media or by using the technology like WhatsApp group or the Zoom that we are using now. They can do a gathering like this. Why not?
Thank you.
In addition to what Mrs. Raja Abdullah said, I would just like to add something. Expose the child to the family. Now, this is the right time. Bring the child to the family. Connect to family members. After connecting to family members, let the child connect to the friends. Once you connect to family and friends, this is the time where we have to start realizing the importance of human values in life. How much my relatives, my friends are valuable to us. How much my interaction is valuable to us. So please connect to people around. Connect to people, and because otherwise very soon, once we are socially isolated, the child will go into a depression. So connect to family first, and from family connect to friends, which is very much required, and parents should take the lead in that. Thank you.
True.
If Fatma is connected back, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, hello. Is my voice audible?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Firstly, the presentations that were presented today were very insightful. So thank you for all of that. My question was towards Anand, sir. So I am an ex-ISB student, and my brother, he's currently in 10th, right? And he's studying through the online medium. So my question is, at some point, maybe if everything goes well, schools will open up and he will have to face the board exam. And the tests, like for now, to keep the kids engaged, the kids are given, were given class tests, which were majority, or well, almost all were just multiple choice type of questions, objective type questions. So my question is like, why, I think personally a little bit more like questions where he would have to think and broaden his perspective to write answers from his own words. Wouldn't that help? Because in case exams were to be held, I don't think that knowledge would be there if all his evaluation was based on just objective type questions, right? So what is your input on that?
Fatima, a very valid question. I would just like to answer that. Number one, this is a new situation for all of us in the sense like the teachers, the students, the parents, everybody, right? As far as ISB is concerned, we are into CBSE curriculum. Since we are into CBSE curriculum, CBSE is planning out about the portions, how it is to be done, test, how it is to be done. So it's too early for us to say right now. Then the kind of test which the teachers had given, it includes quiz, it includes assignments and all that. Like, this is just to keep the children engaged, and this is to test whether the child has understood the knowledge which or the information which the teacher has passed. In the coming days, maybe that will change depending on the situation, because for us, it's too early to predict. Right now, we are into July. I mean, today, just into July, we just have to hear maybe July and August, and then we are waiting for September to see how things are going to happen. There is, I mean, there are people definitely working behind this. CBSE is also working behind it. Ministry of Education is working behind it, because right now nobody wanted to traumatize children already who are facing this online onslaught. Nobody wanted to traumatize children with big tests or those questions and all that.
Yeah.
This quiz kind of test is just to conduct to test their knowledge, to keep them engaged. And as you said, definitely in the coming days to come, if the same scenario continues, the test will be in a different format. But let us hope that we get back the physical classrooms very soon.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Next is Mr. Sunil. Mr. Sunil, go ahead and ask your question. Mr. Sunil, please put your question. We will take another question meanwhile.
Yeah, this is Javed here. I have come across with many parents who have been asking this question in a very common way, and this is related to Mr. Anand Nair. This is the common thing which we have even in my home as well. I have faced this problem. How do students get motivated when they are sitting in front of the screen, and when they know that there is no monitor, or the class teacher is conducting about 80 odd or 100 odd students and they are not monitored? They know that. And with this mentality, and they are very casual at the home atmosphere, how do they focus on the training what is being given? And what is the part which teachers can make the students focused? So this is going to be on the double side. I mean, one person cannot do this. So it has to be a part, it has to, some contribution has to be from the teacher side as well. So what is that the teachers as well as the student have to do while this virtual learning program?
Right, Javed sir, I'll take this question. In fact, this is a question raised by quite often by many. The thing is, the child is at home and the teacher is sitting away and at a distant place, and the teacher is connecting to so many students at one time. The child is at home, and there starts the responsibility of the parent also. Though it is between the teacher and the student, the parents also have a key role to play. Make the child realize that this is it. Make the child realize that the child has to learn, use this platform to learn it. The teachers, of course, now I cannot reveal all out that, how the teachers employ different methods to bring the attention of the child. How the teacher calls out the child or asks questions in between and to bring the attention of the child. But suppose if the child is not attentive there, the child has to be made to realize by the teacher, by the parent. It's a combined effort. We cannot just leave it to the teachers alone who is sitting at a distant place. It is the parent is also equally involved. The child is in the vicinity of the home. Though at home we can tend to be very casual, but a school time is a school time. A class time is a class time. The child has to be made to realize that. The teachers also have to keep the child motivated, which constantly the teacher is doing it, because before the teacher motivates the child, remember in this online platform, the teacher has to keep motivating the teacher himself, because only a motivated teacher can motivate the child, and the parent also has to keep doing that. So let us join together, let us join hands together, the teaching community as well as the parent community, to ensure that the child learns in the right perspective. That is the only way of it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Again, we back to Mr. Sunil. Mr. Sunil, please put your question. I think there is an issue with the connection with Mr. Sunil.
She's there. So I'll take one more question, which is again from a parent. This goes to Ms. Reja Abdullah. Reja, the question goes like this: what causes a rapid shift in mood? I mean, there is a immediate rapid shift, a fast pace in changing the behavior, on changing in the thought process of the children. So how do you manage at that point of time when they change their, the thought process from one to another one? So how do you bring it back, or how do you bring it to the control, or how do you manage? How do parents manage basically?
Well, this is a very general question. You say a rapid shift in mood or in thoughts?
Both. I mean, the behavior. I mean, in the entire behavior. For example, during this situation, because they are generating a lot of energy, and there is no way out. They can exhaust it.
Yes. Well, it depends on the developmental level that the child in. Like in the adolescence, it's very normal in a certain level because the hormones are changing, so their mood is shifting, and they're thinking like when they are in adolescent, and they are being treated sometimes like an adult, and sometimes they are being treated like child. They are being confused, so that make them confusing, that make them change in the mood rapidly, because they don't know how to act, because they become frustrated. So sometimes you see themselves, sometimes they act like a child and they get outburst out of nothing, and sometimes you see them act like an adult and they can be approached and understand things logically. So if it is an adolescence, as I said, it's normal in a certain level, but if it is very severe, then you will have to seek a professional help, or you have to in any development level, whether it's adolescents or a child, if you notice that, you have to open a free judgmental environment for your children, or a communication channel for your child, and sit with him and ask him what is frustrating him, because sometimes this rapid shift of the mood, because of things that he's going through, not in the house, maybe in the school, that he's going through a bad day, or that some children become bullied, which resulting that they get in a very in a very state of mood shifting, because sometimes they don't know how to act or to behave, so they are showing their frustration in different ways, because the child tries to express himself in a way, and when the parent cannot understand him, he tries to express himself in another way indirectly. So sometimes you see him acting like very become very isolating, and doesn't want to see anybody, and sometimes you see him very excited and want to show his excitement and to connect with other people. In this situation, you have to open a very free judgmental channel with your children, and this has to be ongoing, ongoing way, because it's not like in one day you are coming to your children and tell him to tell me about everything, because here the child will not be open to you, and he will not accept that. You have to create this ongoing free judgmental environment to your child, so whenever something happened to him, like frustrating or exciting, he will be able to approach you and express that to you. So this rapid shifting sometimes, or most of the times, it comes because the child doesn't know how to express his feelings. So he's showing it by his behavior. So in any way, whether it's changing in mood or changing in thoughts, you have to be open to your child and show him that you can accept anything from him. So he comes to you by himself to express that. In case he didn't come to you to express that, you have to show understanding, even indirectly, so he can feel like it is free judgmental environment to him, so he can approach you by himself, or when he feels that he's ready to talk about what frustrating him, he will be able to come and approach you.
Great, thank you very much. Thanks for the detailed explanation. I really got to know that this has to be, we have to be friendly with our children so that whenever they get distracted or disturbed, they should be able to come and approach us. So this is what I have understand. And we parents, it lies in our responsibility to create a friendly atmosphere with definitely other adult students, basically. Thank you very much. Thanks for your explanation.
We are left now with two more questions. Naila, please go ahead. Miss Naila.
Hi. Good evening. So what we have noticed since the start of online classes is that the students have been loaded with a lot of work. They attend the regular classes, regular hours, and then they have to complete their notes, homework, assignments, prepare for the tests. On a usual day, they would be completing their work by, say, 7 o'clock about, and then go to bed about around 9 p.m. But now the workload has increased so much that, you know, they're finding it hard to cope. They're getting stressed. We parents are getting stressed because we see there's so much that needs to be done and we're running out of time. And then they're not able to have complete sleep cycles. So it's affecting the child in a very negative way. We understand these are unprecedented times, and, you know, we parents and children have to learn to cope. But then it is also very stressing. So what does the panel suggest? How are we, or how are students supposed to cope with this situation? And how we as parents can help our children during these times?
This is a question to me or to...
Yes, of course.
All right.
It's of course for you only.
Okay, sir. All right. This is very common now because, you know, they get a lot of work and they have to work out a lot. After school hours also, they have to really work out a lot. Please understand that this is a new situation for you and me. When I say you and me, for a teacher as well as for a parent, entirely a new situation we are landed into. Plus, you know, I mean, I'll speak from the teacher's perspective. When you look at from the teacher's perspective, a teacher is being observed by everyone here. A teacher is being exposed not only to the students, but to the parents also, who are equally sitting there and judging and learning from the teacher. That means, you know, a teacher is being watched by so many. So since it's an entirely new situation for the teacher has uploaded material for the children to be done. It has to be done in a specified period of time. Previously, this used to happen inside the school. That's why many of the parents may not be aware that these many notes or something could have been given to them. Right now, since the time factor is extending, and, you know, we are also working on that, you know, keenly we are working with the teachers how to reduce the workload from the students, and how to reduce this level of stress, especially academic stress. We are in consultation with all the other teachers, like, you know, taking teachers' feedback, taking parents' feedback. We are also working on that. And very sure, like, you know, since it's new, everybody wanted to do everything at the right time. That is where the situation has come. So maybe in the days to come, you will also find a very positive change in this, and the workload will definitely decrease on the students. And we'll hope to see a very environment where there is no stress for the students as well as for the teachers. Even the teachers are under equal stress. To take one class, to prepare a PowerPoint slide, to prepare an assignment, a teacher puts in more hours than what a teacher does in the normal regular time. So the teacher is also working equally. There are teachers, you won't believe, like, you know, we get calls from teachers. There are teachers who work till 1 o'clock in the night, 2 o'clock in the night to get the slides ready, to get the assignments ready. It has to be typed, it has to be delivered to the student, how it has to be done. See, even the best of the best surgeon, when a surgeon is performing a surgery and when many people are watching the surgeon can also falter. A teacher does not want to be at that position. So a teacher takes extra care, extra precaution to see everything is done. So this situation has come because a teacher is very careful about what he or she is doing. Maybe in the days to come, as we are consulting and we are talking to teachers also, how to reduce the stress on the students. In the days to come, you will also see a welcome change happening. Thank you.
Here we go with the last question. Mr. Malim, please.
Yes. Good evening, everybody. My name is Rashid Malim. I'm son of Mr. Malim, and my question is directed towards Mr. Anand, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, in the light of recent events and teachers adapting to technology all of a sudden and like learning to like cope up with students through technology, like through Zoom calls and Microsoft Team and everything. It's been like 3 months, I guess, and like students like juniors who I've been in touch with are still like slightly complaining of like small faults where like where the teacher could be kicked out of the meeting, or where the teacher, when conducting a class through their home, are like having dim lighting and like are not much energetic when they're showing the same energy in class, and that so the interest of the student naturally just fades away and it distracts the student to like browse into some other websites while the class is going on. So what is your comment to that, sir?
This can happen in a regular classroom also, when a teacher is teaching and a non-interested student either dozes off or he just his attention goes to a different way. Here, of course, it is net-based and all that. Number one, like those technical errors, like where the student can remove a teacher and all that. Like as far as now our school and our situation is concerned, like the online class which we adopted, we have addressed that issue and that is very much taken care of. Now the children cannot do that. The child has to know one factor is that this is a new technology. In terms of technology, many of the children are far more advanced as compared to the teacher who's handling the technology maybe for the first time. So that is one factor which is we are battling it, because children sometimes, in fact, many on occasion, I find that children are far more advanced than teachers in handling these technologies. In fact, there has been many students who have been helping out teachers to cope up with this technology or in understanding the technology very well. Like initially when I started my classes, like when I started, there was a problem of screen sharing. It was one of the students who actually went out of the way and helped me out. So this is how it has to be done. And I'm very helpful. And because of that, I could take my classes very, very easily. The thing is, it is a two-way relationship. This can happen. A technology, it's being used to technology. There are certain issues, areas of technology which this can happen. Second, about the dim lighting and all that. These are technical things which slowly maybe, of course, as you said, it's almost 3 months. Everything has to be taken care of. But we don't know under which circumstances the particular teacher or that, what is the situation at home. I will give an example. I will not quote it. There's a teacher who has twin children at home, small kids. A teacher is taking class from home. And these children, they're very small kids, hardly an age where you can punish and make them sit and make them understand. When the teacher takes the class, the children come and create a ruckus there, because for the children, it's a play, something is there, computer is on, and the teacher is there, mother is sitting there and speaking. And, the teacher had to forcefully lock the children, so that the children don't come out, and they keep on banging the door, small kids, So, this online classes have invaded the privacy of an even teacher at home. A teacher's house is also exposed at times, the teacher's privacy is also exposed. So this can happen, but of course these are technical issues which can be addressed by the teachers, or this which can be addressed in the longer run. It will, and it is bound to happen. Like there could be few technical glitches on the way, but again, as you said, like this situation is like neither I am right, neither you are wrong. this is a situation where this has to go along with us. We have to take it forward, and it has to be a combined effort.
Yes, sir.
In the days to come, it will happen. Thank you,
Yeah.
and I'm very much optimistic about it.
And so regarding like teachers showing their energy, like it should be like attention grabbing to students, because students are like, it's something new to them to like look through the screen for hours and hours, and when it's like looking through their phones or laptops, they can easily get distracted or switch to some different apps and do some other work while the class is going on. But then like, shouldn't like the teacher also be responsible at a point? I mean, like, I'm not blaming or anything, but then it's
Definitely.
like they should be showing a great amount of energy to grab the students' attention.
Definitely. Whenever you speak to a person, you have to speak with energy, and that energy has to come from within you. Whether it's the teacher or the student, it has to come from within yourself. But as you said, like it's new for the student because he's sitting in front of a tab or a computer or a laptop or a cell phone, and there are chances he may get distracted. A teacher is used to see live students in front of him or her. A teacher is not used to see a computer screen and just speaking to the computer screen. A teacher used to see live, vibrant students sitting in front of the teacher who poses question to the teachers, who asks teachers who informs teachers certain things. The teacher is set to see life in the classroom. And today a teacher is seeing a computer screen. So you can imagine the transition which a teacher also has to go through. The teacher is
Definitely.
to a computer. So of course, the teacher has to keep himself or herself motivated throughout to stay lively till the end. But again, a teacher is also a human being.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, both of you, Mr. Anand Nair and Rija Abdullah, for addressing all the questions to the satisfaction. And this has been a great event. We have actually exceeded the time limit now. Not to hold any more, I'll move on to our president, Mr. Ghayazullah, for giving out of thanks.
Also viewing on live Zoom, unlimited number of people they are viewing. I noted some of the dignitaries present here. I wish to take their names. Our ISB chairman, Mr. Prince Natarajan, since beginning, still he is holding there. Our patron, Muhammad Malim, also present here. Kannada Sangha President Pradeep Shetty was here. Indian Overseas Congress President, Mr. Muhammad Mansoor was here. Our Honorable Secretary ISB, Mr. Saji Anthony, is also present here. And also I see our ex-secretary Shemli P. John also was on the line. She was having initially technical glitches, but somehow she managed to enter. And thank you very much for all. And also there are many more people are here. I am not able to take their name just because of the time constraint. Thank you very much for joining, and we will definitely take your feedback, and we'll see how we can go ahead and present many more this kind of presentation with the experts to advise about current situations. And I thank all PWA team for making this success. Thank you very much to all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. By then we come to this webinar program. I thank you all once again. All the very best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I'll end the meeting.
Yes.